It is with great joy that I like to convey the love, the prayers, and blessings of our beloved Metropolitan Alexios, especially on this special day for this holy church and cathedral of Birmingham, for hosting the most wonderful and exciting oratorical festival. All those who have been there yesterday to listen to the speeches of these young people, they were all moved by the heartfelt and inspiring messages that they gave us, and you are going to have a taste of that at the end of the Divine Liturgy. Some of them, the finalists, will give their speeches so that you can take a taste of what these young people can do for their peers, for all of us, and for the world. It is very sentimental. I can remember last time I did come for some funerals for Jerry Loran and other events, but I cannot remember if I liturgized here as a bishop. I've been in this community many, many years ago. I'm only 29. I hope nobody says that I'm older because I'm going to excommunicate them. I saw a young man in the altar, Bill Valekas, and I remember his grandfather. And of course his father too, Charles, told me is here as well. They were my young adult people, their parents. And I was young as well. And it was a blessing yesterday to celebrate the wedding of one of those parents that they were my young adult group, Dennis Pandazis. So it was nice to celebrate the wedding of his son, Evan. And it brings tears to my eyes because it's all about family and it's all about relationships. And we are a one generation, but we are here to pass it on to the younger generation. But you don't pass it only by saying you need to stay in the faith, you need to go to church, but you need to be examples about what we preach. So if you tell young people that you should love it, then you need to love yourselves. If you tell the people you need to forgive, you need to be the number one to forgive. If you tell people to be generous, you need to be generous and you need to be kind. So we teach by example. Today, we want to thank also Dorothea Starsky for really organizing this wonderful event of the Oratorical Festival. She has done a tremendous, tremendous job. And we thank her and all those that they assisted. Your parish council president, Alex, year out, was there serving all day long, all day long. And I remember fondly his father, who was an example of service to our church and continues to serve not only your church, but our metropolis. And we thank them for their service and their offering. That's what gives us joy, people. It gives us joy to serve and to make a difference in people's lives. All the clergy, I'm sure, including myself, we became clergy for the love of God, but to make a difference, to make a difference. And when you make a difference in people's lives, then it's the biggest joy that you can receive, even for good times or bad times, and especially the difficult times. That's what people remember. That's what people remember, that we were there for them in their bad days. So we have an example of that in the gospel today. We have a paralyzed man who is sitting by the pool for 38 years. 38 years, and he wants to be healed. And the tradition had it that the angel will come down and move the water, and whoever jumped in first was healed. But he couldn't do it, and he didn't have anybody to do it. So all of a sudden, Jesus appears, and what does he ask this man? I hate to say that, but it was a stupid question that Jesus asked. It was a stupid question. Do you want to get well? Do you want to get, what do you mean? Of course I want to get well. But why did he ask him? There was a reason. There was a reason for asking him. It wasn't a stupid question. In other words, do you really and ready to get well? And he says, of course. Then he says, get up, take your bed, your pallet, and go home. Of course, the scribes and the Pharisees were ready always to criticize. It was the Sabbath, and on the Sabbath, you don't do anything. So asking him to take his bed and go home, that was work. It reminds me of the conservative Jews in New York. I was there for 13 and a half years. They would not even push the button for the elevator to go to their apartment, so they have someone else to push the button for them. This man was healed by Jesus, and they're thinking about him taking the pallet. What a hypocrisy. And we are hypocritical sometimes ourselves, criticizing good things when they're happening. But what I wanted to say today is how is this story relates to our lives? What is the moral story for each and every one of us? And the moral story of each and every one of us, we are all like this sick man, this paralyzed man. We have things that they are holding us back, and they don't allow us to live our lives in fullness. 40 years ago, I was writing my dissertation that I was finishing up at Emory and Columbia Seminary in Atlanta. But when I came to Birmingham, I was still writing. I think Irene Lafaki, she was helping me with my English and my syntax and all that stuff. I saw her yesterday, and she was joking. She says, you asked me to help you with the grammar, but it was the whole thing that you wanted me to help you with. But my thesis there was about communion and confession, psychological and spiritual dynamics. And what I discover is that when we go to confession, we take ourselves apart. We take everything, disassemble, I call it. We disassemble ourselves. And then there is a reassemble and a creativity part. People who really know themselves and acknowledge their shortcomings, they can do something about it. And not only they can do something about it, but they become liberated and they enjoy life. You see, when we come to church many times, oh my God, I have to go to church and I have to sit there for 2 hours. But what we don't realize, God is not expecting us to come here to please Him and to please our parents or grandparents. It's not an application, people. We come here to regenerate ourselves, to receive God's blessings, to receive God's love, to receive God's healing that we receive, this man received today. And it's a healing not only of the body, but also of the soul and of the spirit. God wants us to live a joyous life. Jesus said in the Bible, He says, I want you to have my joy. And not only to have my joy, but to have it plenty, full, to celebrate. That's why we say we celebrate the divine liturgy. But you're in the middle. I'm in the middle. And if I don't open my heart to receive all the blessings during the divine liturgy, I leave the liturgy and I don't get nothing. So, are we participating in all the petitions and all the prayers that they are read? Do you receive God's love and God's forgiveness and compassion and strength and hope to overcome whatever we are facing in our lives? Do we want to be healed? Do we want to be better? Or do we want to be miserable and feel sorry for ourselves? That's the choice that we have. And that's what Jesus is teaching us today, and that's what the reading of the Holy Gospel is all about today. Don't be paralyzed. Don't allow things in your life to hold you back. Move forward. Enjoy the people around you, your families, God, the church. Everything is about joy. And I'm going to finish, and I don't know if I told you the story, but I love, and I don't know how many of you love the Golden Girls. Any of you love the Golden Girls? I love that show because it teaches, it had a beautiful moral story every episode that they had. And at one time, Dorothy, the daughter of the Yaya, Sophia, is upset about something and she will not let go. And Sophia tells her daughter, Dorothy, anger is like a piece of crushed wheat, pniguri, we say that in Greek, that is caught between your dentures and your gums. And if you don't get rid of it, it's going to make you a blister and you have to eat Jell-O for the rest of your life. So in other words, who are you punishing if you don't forgive? It's not the other people. The other people may or may not change. They may acknowledge or may not acknowledge that they hurt our feelings or our lives. But the beneficiary is who? Me. When I forgive, I am the beneficiary. I'm free. It's not an obsession for me to worry about the other people that they have done me wrong. But it's about me finding peace. So I don't want to say too much because we want to hear our young people afterwards. My beloved people, this is the day of the resurrection. This is the day that we sing, Christ is risen from the dead. By death trampled down upon death, and to those in the tombs he did what? Granted life. God is granting us life, and a good life, and a blessed life, and a life that is full of joy. Embrace it and live it every single day of your life, and leave the things that they don't belong to our nature behind. May God bless you. Thank you.